What's the most ridiculous company policy you've ever had to fight against? I never thought a simple rental from nearly 20 years ago would drag me all the way into a courtroom, but that's exactly what happened. Because one real estate agency thought they could stall me forever. Back in 2004, I was renting a property in Queensland with my then partner. To put it lightly, he had a violent temper. By the time the lease ended, there were holes punched and smashed into the walls, fist-sized, hammer-sized, you name it. The property looked like it had gone 10 rounds in a boxing match. Naturally, the agency evicted us. They kept our bond to cover part of the repairs, and then they billed us another $1,700 through a collections agency. Since both of our names were on the lease, that debt went against both of us. I wasn't the one punching drywall, but legally, it didn't matter. At the time, I let it go. The agency was just doing its job protecting the property owner. Not long after, the relationship ended, and good riddance. A few years later, I wanted to clean up all the loose ends in my life. Step one was clearing my name financially. So, I contacted the debt collectors. After a mess of phone calls and paperwork, they finally agreed to split the bill between my ex and me. I paid my half. He refused to pay his, but at least I thought I was free from it. Except, I wasn't. Queensland had something called the TICA list. It was a tenant blacklist, used by landlords and real estate agencies. If your name was on it, renting again, especially through an agency, was nearly impossible. And sure enough, my name was still there. Worse, I learned that even when the standard 5-year listing period expired, this agency had quietly re-added me over and over again. So I contacted the Residential Tenancies Authority. They told me I was absolutely eligible to be removed. I had settled my share of the debt. I had legal evidence of the abuse from my ex. I had served my time, so to speak. But here's the catch. Only the real estate agency had the power to take my name off. So I called them. At first, they acted polite, even helpful. If I sent them proof the debt was paid, they'd remove my name. I faxed them every document they asked for. They told me they just needed to locate my file, which was buried in the archives. It would take a week. So I waited. A week passed. I called back. They told me to wait another week, then another. Each time I called, their tone grew colder. By the 4th or 5th call, they were downright dismissive. Finally, one agent told me my request was bothersome, that it wasn't important, and that if I wanted it done so badly, maybe I should take them to court. That was their mistake. For $35, I filed a small claims case. The hearing was scheduled just days later, and the moment the agency received notice of the court date, my phone lit up. Suddenly, they couldn't believe I had actually filed. "We're doing everything we can to help you," they protested. "How dare you drag us to court?" I just thanked them for the suggestion. After all, it seemed to be the only way to get things moving. When the day came, I walked into the courtroom with just 3 sheets of paper. One was proof I had paid my portion of the debt. Another was a statement from the RTA confirming I was eligible to be removed. The third was confirmation that only the agency could take my name off the blacklist. That was it. 3 simple pages. The agency showed up with 2 representatives and a thick folder stuffed with property reports and photos of the old damage. So much for not being able to find my file. They argued that my history was too bad to justify removal. I calmly explained that the damage was caused by my abusive ex, that I had paid my share, and that being re-added to the blacklist years later was unfair. The judge asked the agency directly why they kept putting my name back on the list after the time had expired. Their answer? Company policy. That was all the judge needed. He ruled in my favor. He said I had been punished long enough. I had made restitution, and there was no reason for me to remain blacklisted. He gave the agency 48 hours to remove my name and provide proof to both me and the court. And on top of that, they were ordered to reimburse me the $35 I had spent filing the case. The 2 agents stormed out of the courtroom, fuming. I walked out on a high. For years, they had strung me along, dismissed me, and tried to keep me trapped in the system. But all it took was one day in court to end it. As I passed them by the elevators, I couldn't resist one final job. I thanked them for their excellent advice about going to court, and told them I'd be enjoying a nice bottle of wine with the $35 they now owed me. The look on their faces? Worth every second of the fight.